This is Richard Wolff from Democracy at Work, responding to another Ask Prof Wolff question from our Patreon community. And this one comes from Adam Brockman from Australia. And indeed, his question is about Australia, but it goes far beyond that. And so I'm particularly happy to respond. First of all, bravo to the Australian people. They recently had an election. They voted out the old Conservative government and they brought in a Labor government. But even more important than that was the fact that there's now a three-way split in Australian politics. The old Conservatives, roughly a third, the Labor, that's left of center, another third, and then the Green Party and a group of independents comprising a clearly left of center third alternative. It means that particularly young people have a new political landscape. They really have a three-way political struggle instead of the old and by now rather stale two-party opposition, which is so prevalent around the world. But that's why this is important, because this opening of the politics in Australia is very much like, for example, what is happening in France. It bears parallels to what has just happened in Colombia, in Latin America, and it is similar to things happening a bit below the surface here in the United States and beyond. So I'm particularly interested in responding. Adam Brockman flatters me by asking me, in the likelihood that the mass media, owned as they are by big capitalist interests and the old political parties, they're not going to be very nice to this new third alternative in Australian politics. So he wonders if I might comment on what my advice would be for dealing with the hostility the press is likely to articulate. And I'm glad to do it because I want to make the same points to the French left, which is gathered now around Jean-Luc Mélenchon, to the American left emerging within the Democratic Party and to its left, and so on. The first thing I would urge is to be bold, clear, and courageous about how and why you are different from the traditional parties. And in particular, to make clear that you are able to be critical of capitalism. You are not a party that is a cheerleader for that particular economic system, that you favor a debate about capitalism's strengths and weaknesses in comparison to alternative systems that you are willing to explore and deal with. I understand that goes against certain traditions of thought in Australia, as in so many other countries. But I would urge you that you need to be different. You need to show that you are new and daring, and the old ones are stale and dying, which is the case, but it needs to be said. And you in Australia, I think, are ready to do that, because in a way, the Labor Party victory is the victory of having been strong on the climate issue, even when it was poo-pooed by the established media, the established politicians, even the established academics. You persevered, you on the left in Australia, and the Labor Party just got into power in part because it had a tradition of being out front and clear on that climate issue. The next thing I would advise is to be very careful to build your organization, both at the national level, where parties are traditionally active, but also at the ground level. There has to be a micro and a macro, a base building at the bottom, in the neighborhoods, in the workplaces, that matches and is coordinated with what is done at the national, at the state level. This organizational focus is crucial and is a powerful antidote, if it is strongly maintained, to anything that the national media can try to foist on a population. And finally, don't be hesitant to have a vision of the future. You already have that, particularly in the Australian Green Party, apropos climate and the threat to our climate and the threat of global warming, etc. But be equally bold in having a vision of a different economic system, one in which the mass of people have a position in every workplace. We need to have advocates for the democratization of workplaces. They don't need to be top-down hierarchical. They don't have to be run by people, CEOs or anybody else, unaccountable to the mass of people over whom the CEO presides. We didn't get rid of kings who presided over political society only to be subordinated to the kings we call CEOs who preside over our economic reality. And a strong vision for that, like what was achieved by a strong vision over the climate questions and global warming, is a winner. It will take time, but it will be a powerful antidote to the stale critiques that the media have at their disposal, will indeed heave against the new left political life emerging in Australia, but I think will be more than a match for them. If these kinds of interventions are interesting, are valuable, are something you think belongs in the larger public conversation, then please understand how and why we ask you to partner with us to spread the word, to share these videos. It's a way of all of us having a deeper reach into the world we live in. And for your attention and support, thank you.